Hi there, and welcome to this week's TV Coast to Coast, our weekly chat about television, featuring our team of critics from across the country talking about what's new or just what's on our minds when it comes to TV. I'm Kristi Turnquist, TV critic with the Oregonian and OregonLive.com in Portland, Oregon. And in this week's Critics Rotation, we find Mark Dawidziak of the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com and Vicki Hyman of New Jersey's Star Ledger and NJ.com. The fourth member of our team, Dave Walker, of the New Orleans Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, is off this week. So now, for this week, I was thinking, it wasn't that long ago that the TV networks were wallpapering the airwaves with nonstop promos about all their fabulous new shows. And now that the fall, 2014 TV season is really up and fully launched, some of that glow has worn off, and we have some charred ruins and some broken dreams. We've seen some cancellations, we've seen some disappointments, and with the slate of new shows, even we critics find that there are only 24 hours in a day. So that means that when one of the good new shows finds its way into our must-see viewing list, others, and some of them are old friends, can fall by the wayside. I know, speaking for me, I have really become a fan of The Affair on Showtime this season. It's already renewed for a second season. It tells the story of an extramarital affair from the perspective of the man and woman involved. It's been unpredictable, suspenseful, and quite wrenching, with great performances by Dominic West and Ruth Wilson. But making time for The Affair means the romance is now over between me and Nashville. And the ABC musical melodrama was always pretty darn soapy. But after sampling a few of this season's new episodes, I decided that a lot of what I had enjoyed about the show, the music, the characters played by Connie Britton and Hayden Panettiere, had just gotten drowned in the suds. And so when it comes to me anyway, the song is over when it comes to Nashville. So I imagine I'm not the only one who's making these tough choices. Vicki, what about you?
Well, a friend of mine with whom I'm in a TV watching club, which is kind of like a book club, except we watch TV together and talk about it, always makes fun of me for my unwillingness to suspend disbelief, particularly when it comes to like a show with The Walking Dead where I tend to nitpick about zombie physiology. But in my defense, I did make it through 3 full seasons of Scandal before I finally gave it up. I'm not sure exactly what was the tipping point here. It could have been the vice president stabbing her closeted gay husband, or Fitz getting all self-righteous when Mellie starts having an affair, or Olivia's father having Fitz's son poisoned, or maybe it was just the sight of Huck licking Quinn's face while torturing her.
Oh.
I just, at the end of last season, I was like, maybe I'll try it in the fall. But, in the end, I couldn't overlook also just the terrible overacting. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but, Kerry Washington, I know she's delivering sometimes some truly awful dialogue, and maybe this is just her coping mechanism to over-enunciate very loudly and stridently, or Huck's dead-eyed, heavy-breathing I can't watch it anymore. But ironically, one of the shows that I have stuck with this season is sort of an equally, that's so unrealistic show, also from Shonda Rhimes' production company, Shondaland. And it is, of course, How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. And I think the reason why it's more palatable to me, because it takes itself a little less seriously. It's a little easier to swallow when it's like minor things like rigging trials and jury tampering than rigging national elections and killing off the president's son. And as far as leading ladies go, I'm not going to say that Viola Davis is a better actress than Kerry Washington, although I think that argument could certainly be made. But I think she just is given a better part. It's just more morally shady. It's just a messier role to play. And I think the other thing that tilts in Murder's favor is that it's a shorter run. It's only 15 episodes in the first season at least. So there's no real mid-season slump I've come across yet. And that's something that I wish other shows would adopt. I gave up a Shonda, and I gave up Grey's Anatomy a long time ago. I gave up a Shonda, I picked up a Shonda, so, ABC's still doing good in my book. Mark, how do you feel?
Oh, that's a tough act to follow, Vicki.
Strong feelings.
You got the exercise there. The show that I've finally given up on, and I kind of hate to say this, is American Horror Story. I really tried to stick with this show. And after a while, I had to say to myself, why are you sticking with this show? And I realized what kept drawing me back was I think the performances are still very, very strong in freak show. As a matter of fact, this may be the strongest cast they have ever assembled for this. And I like the visual aspect of this show. It is a stylistically wonderfully visual show. But where I come down on this show is the storytelling isn't very good. The most horrific aspect of this show is the storytelling. You look at this show week in and week out, and you realize that you're hanging around for the big moments. You're hanging around for those really icky visuals that linger with you for the week in between. You're hanging around for those wonderful hit-em-out-of-the-park moments for the performances. But the overall narrative and structure has really never been very good on this show. And I finally had to come to terms with that and say, The Walking Dead, pound for pound, probably the acting isn't as good. The performances aren't as good. But the storytelling on The Walking Dead, the narrative arc, is much, much stronger. So I'm keeping The Walking Dead. I'm getting rid of American Horror Story. The one I've added is Gotham. Gotham, we started with the question of, can this sustain? Can this build on what it started? It's better. As it has developed the characters and spending more time with Bruce, it's spending more time with the different parts of the world that they created. This is maintaining that part film noir, part comic book aspect, and it's become a better show as it goes on. And it's a terrific 1-2 punch with Sleepy Hollow. So I don't have to make a choice on Monday nights. I can just go right on through with Fox and go from Gotham to Sleepy Hollow. Not a bad trip. Kristi?
Yeah, I agree that I've gotten hooked on both Gotham and How to Get Away with Murder. I thought both of them had maybe slight slumps after strong pilots, but they've really come back and gotten great momentum. So I've really been enjoying those. And I never really got into the whole American Horror Story, so I can't say I've dropped that one. Vicki, I'm with you when it comes to scandal and those line deliveries. And every line being an exclamation, and everyone's saying it the exact same way. I mean, that show
she keeps getting nominated for Emmys, and I'm like, she's not that good at this.
You know, it's turned into a funny or die, show as far as I'm concerned. It's so campy and self-aware of its own melodrama. That's kind of what I enjoyed about it for a while, but it's totally over the moon now. Anyway,
just jumping in on that, you see this in other shows, and it's a stylistic choice. It runs through all kinds of dramas where people think there are certain line deliveries which are acting. And in acting, it's called indicating. And the one I'm getting really tired of, you see this on Scandal, you see it even on shows like Supernatural, where somebody delivers a line really like this and suddenly gets to the point. I'm tired of that. It's like, see me acting? Look at me acting. I'm going to then I'm going to tell you to go.
All right. Well, I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to get to the point and wrap it up for this week, I think. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks, Vicki. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody who watched. We will be back next week with more Talk About Television, and we hope to see you then. Thank you.
We'll be back next week.